You've seen the breakout video, you've seen the elite upside player video. If you haven't gone and watched those two videos, highly recommend that you guys do that before your fantasy hockey drafts. But here we have the players that could go absolutely nuclear this season. These are players that could have 80+ point upside for the first time in their career. Some guys even 90 and 100+ point upside for the first time ever. We're going to go through all 8 of these players, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. I know a lot of you don't have a lot of confidence in Bedard going into this season, given the current situation of the Chicago Blackhawks lineup, and I completely understand where you guys are coming from. But there are some positives here. He, first of all, is now center right wing eligible, so that frees him up a little bit to be a little bit more flexible in your lineup. Last year was just a complete throwaway. You could visibly see how frustrated Bedard was in around the season. The fact that he was just trying as hard as he possibly could, and his team could just not keep up with him, was visibly frustrating for him. And he's just not the type of person that likes to lose. Like, he is an incredibly competitive person. If you listen to any interview with this guy, he's all business all the time. And it looks like he's kind of lightened up a little bit this year, which I think is a positive for him. I think he's going to take on more of a leadership role with this team as well. We've already seen him wear the A in the preseason. I anticipate that he's going to be wearing an A going into this season. So a little bit more responsibility on him at just the ripe age of 20 years old. He had 18 points in his last 20 games, so there are some positives there that he can play around a point per game pace with the current lineup in Chicago. He's got elite power play numbers on top of that. We see him normally hover around that 30 power play mark, and I think the power play overall is going to be better this year with the emergence of guys like Sam Brunzell and potentially Frank Nazar, but we'll see how that turns out. But I do anticipate Bedard's going to have those elite power play numbers, which is anywhere over 30 power play points. He has franchise level talent, guys. There's no denying it whatsoever. He is a special player in the National Hockey League. Only Crosby had a higher point per game average as an 18-year-old in the salary cap era. Let that sink in for a second. He was tied with Celebrini. We'll talk about him in a little bit, but Bedard's role is always going to be there in Chicago. He's going to be the first line guy. He's going to play over 20 minutes a night. Whether it's on the wing, whether it's at center, he is the guy in Chicago. Everything is going to run through him moving forward. And I think he understands that now in terms of how much of a role that he has to play in order to influence the game. And I think he took it personally with not getting a nod to the Team Canada Four Nations roster camp. I think he's taking it personally this year with the hopes of trying to make the Olympic roster. Whether or not that happens, I don't actually know, but I think this is just a guy that is wired a little bit differently in the sense that he wants to be the best at all times. And when he's not, you see that frustration kind of seep through. People were saying the same things about Bedard as they were with Jack Hughes in his first 2 seasons. And then look what happened in the season that he turned 20 years old. Hughes was over a point per game. I'm expecting the talent to really seep through this year for Bedard. You know that the floor is around 70 points. I think he's got 35 goal upside, as well as could hit into those 80 point totals. I think we're going to see a big increase in his shot volume as well this year as he starts to kind of influence the game a little bit more. I'm confident in the talent. It is tough to get to him in drafts because of his ADP, and you're basically drafting him at his ceiling, but I believe in the talent. I believe in Connor Bedard, and I think you'll see a big step from him this season. Matvei Michkov, if you've been watching preseason at all, this guy is going to be special in the National Hockey League. I think he could be probably a top 5 player at some point in his career, especially in fantasy hockey, but he had 27 points in his last 25 games with 85 shots, guys. There is absolutely nothing holding him back now that Torts is gone. The team is already playing in a more offensive-oriented style and has more offensive weapons with the immersion of Trevor Zegras coming into the fold. I think they're going to be a really strong duo this season. He had a 9 shots per 60 last season with only 1641 average time on ice. So imagine that if he played around 18 minutes, which he should be in that top 6 and will be on power play 1 the entire season. The Flyers had a bottom 3 power play last year, which I think is going to drastically change this year with the emergence of Michkov. I think he's going to really dominate on that power play. I think he's even going to have close to 30 power play points this year. Just given his talent level, I could see 35 goal, 80 point upside for Michkov this season. I think he's going to have a monster year and really solidify himself as one of the best young players in the National Hockey League this season. I'm bullish on Michkov this year, guys, and I'm looking to draft him as much as I can. Now, Wyatt Johnston is in an incredible opportunity this year, skating line 1 and power play 1. basically stapled to Mikko Rantanen for the entire duration of what it looks like will be the Dallas Stars lineup for this season. He had a very slow start to his season last year where he only had 18 points in his first 30 games. And from game 31 onwards, he had 53 points in 52 games with 27 goals. You've seen a steady growth in Johnston every single season with more and more ice time. And I think skating alongside Mikko Rantanen this year, he is in an incredible role that he can just explode. We know that he has the shooting talent to be a 40-goal scorer. We've seen him be absolutely dominant in playoffs. So I believe in the talent is outright. And when you skate alongside a guy that's historically had 100-point seasons in his own right, I think Wyatt is just going to absolutely pop off this year. This will be the last year that you're going to be able to get him outside of round 4. He's still only 21 years of age, so he can just level up outright in terms of his growth individually. I think he has a 40-goal and 80-point upside this season. Macklin Celebrini might just be that guy. He has all the tools necessary to be a generational player. You look at his game, just 200 foot, can score, can pass the puck, has incredible hands, great defensively, plays a ton of minutes year one as an 18-year-old centerman. Only Crosby, and he's tied with Connor Bedard, like I mentioned earlier, had a higher points per game rate as an 18-year-old in the salary cap era. So that just shows you how good of a talent Macklin Celebrini is. He also was close to a point per game last year towards the end in his last 30, where he had 28 points with 100 shots. A 10.2 shots per 60 is an elite shot volume. So we're going to see around 260, 270 shots out of Celebrini this year. If he plays 82 games, he could have upwards of 280, even maybe 290 if you see a little bit of increase in there. He's going to be on a line with Will Smith at line 1 and power play 1 for the whole season. I'm confident that both him and Smith are going to take a step this year, just naturally with the growth that they've seen towards the latter half of last year. And so when you have an elite playmaker like Will Smith paired with a guy like Macklin Celebrini, he's going to be in a fantastic spot going into next season. He could just literally be dominant outright as a 19-year-old, just given his skill set, given, like I said, that kind of 200-foot game. He saw line 1 minutes last year against the toughest opponents in the National Hockey League. So I would be confident that Celebrini could just take a step just based off talent alone. I think he's got 35 goal and 80+ point upside. He could be close to, if not over, a point per game even this season. Now, Matt Boldy is somebody that we saw truly kind of break out last year. He's kind of hovered around that 30 goal mark, but I think there is another level with Boldy here. And I think it comes from 2 reasons. Number 1, his shot volume is elite, and 9.8 shots per 60 gives him an elite shot volume. Number 2, he's incredibly consistent. His shooting percentage has stayed within 3% every single season. We've seen him hit over 20 minutes average time on ice last year. Boldy's going to be there with Kaprizov at 5-on-5 and power play 1. At least that's what it looks like currently for this upcoming season. And I think the addition of Z Buium is really going to help kind of quarterback that top power play unit. So I think that's another added bonus when you've got a guy that can skate like Buium does and can play make like Buium does from the back end, a true power play 1 quarterback. I think it will add an extra layer to the power play. I'm really high on Boldy this year, just with the fact that I'm also really high on Kaprizov this year. I still believe he's got 40 goal upside in him, and he could be around a point a game, if not over. Now, Martin Necas could actually go nuclear this year. Like, I'm talking like 90+ points, maybe even 100. I know that's a little bit of a stretch, and you look at a guy like Necas and you're like, well, where did this come from? We saw what he could do in Carolina last year, and that was without Nathan MacKinnon and Cale Makar. His role is arguably better now in Colorado. They need this guy to play top line with MacKinnon. They need him to play over 20 minutes a night in order for them to be successful. He slowed down when he got to the Avs with only 28 points in 30 games. Guys, he was a point per game player still. He's going to be line 1, power play 1 all year with MacKinnon and Makar. He's been close to a hit per game on top of all of this scoring upside that we're seeing out of Necas. He's going to have elite power play numbers because of how good his puck skills are and his playmaking ability. I think he's got 30 goals in him still. He's got the talent. He has the role. He has elite teammates. Everything points upwards for Necas. I think he's got 35 goal, 90+ point upside. There might even be more to this level, guys, but I think he hovers around that 30 goal mark, so you should see a little bit of a bump in those power play numbers as well. I truly think that Necas could go nuclear this year, just skating outright with MacKinnon. You had to know Jack Hughes was going to be on this list. He's center left wing eligible at ADP 17. Everybody knows the big criticism around Hughes is the fact that he hasn't been able to stay healthy, but when he plays games, he's a top 10 fantasy player on a per game basis. It really doesn't matter your league settings as long as you count shots, hits, goals, and power play points. He's still just 23 years of age, guys. I don't think we've seen the best version of Jack Hughes yet. I think he's more than well aware of the fact that he needs to stay healthy in order for this team to succeed, not only on the ice, but for him individually as well. He said in multiple interviews that he really wants to eclipse that 100-point mark. So I think that's a bit of a personal goal for him as well. He's got an elite shot volume and power play point upside. He also had a really slow first month of the season with only 12 points in his first 15 games, which is pretty uncharacteristic that you see out of a guy that's normally over a point per game. But since November 7th, he had 58 points in 47 games with 183 shots. That's over a 100-point pace. He was 9th in the NHL in shots per 60 and 8th in the NHL in shot attempts for 60 last year. We know he has an elite shot volume. If he plays 75 games, he's going to get 100 points. I'm confident in it. I literally think that there is 110-point upside for this player. I think he's got 40 goals in him this year, and I think he could be close to 350 shots. I know it hasn't looked like it in the past couple seasons, but if he's healthy, Jack Hughes will go nuclear. Rounding out our list is Kirill Kaprizov of the Minnesota Wild. A very similar story as Jack Hughes. He just needs to stay healthy. He was on pace for 112 points last year before he got injured. He's an absolute per-game freak. He is incredible across the board. The Olympics this year are going to give him some much needed rest. I think that mitigates the injury concern a little bit. Kaprizov has elite goal and power play point upside. He played well over 22 minutes last season. You know that this guy is going to play a ton, and the entire offense and the entire organization pretty much runs through this guy. He's going to get every single look possible this year. He's got a great shot volume on top of that, guys, with around a 10 shots per 60. Last year, he was a little bit below that. The two previous years, he was above 11, so I averaged that out a little bit. If he plays 75 games, he's getting 100 points. Very similar to Jack Hughes. I put money on him for the Hart this year. I think he's going to have an absolute monster season. I think he's got 50 goals in him and 110-plus point upside for Kaprizov. He should go absolutely nuclear this season. Is there anyone left off this list that you feel could go absolutely nuclear this season? Let me know in the comments down below. Always love hearing your guys' takes and opinions on videos. So leave a like and hit that subscribe button if you enjoyed. Got a ton of great content coming for you for the rest of the week, especially before hockey starts. So thank you again for watching. I will see you in the next video.